Ayako. She is yet to come up on stage, but even before we get to her, I'm curious to find out from you, Maina.
Yes.
What is a success story based on the skills you have? We're talking about this during tea break. I've given you a hint. What's a success story based on
my skill?
On your skill.
But I told you I have several skills. So
no,
which
the
skill is
one,
that?
the main one. There's one main one.
Oh, a success story for me, first of all, I think we talked about it yesterday. There's something we call MIB. MIB is money in the bank. Yeah, money in the bank. That's the success, is it? Because you can do everything else, and if there's nothing coming
But
home.
where is the money?
Did you actually hear the gentleman from Wajir yesterday?
Yes.
I think it was Garissa. He was talking about ensuring that even when we are matching these skills, that even the pay should match. Wherever we go, whether we go to Germany, to Europe,
Yes.
to any African country, if the euros are this amount here, they should remain the same way. You heard that. The point is, money in the bank for me is a
Money in the
success
bank
story.
is a success story.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. What's yours, though?
I don't know. I think money in the bank is a big one because money is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, money is a good thing.
Yeah.
But also I think scale is another thing.
Scale.
To see yourself progressing from one state to another.
You're right.
With small step progression is
Absolutely.
a very big win.
Absolutely.
But money in the bank is a big one.
It's a good one.
It's a big one.
In fact, at the booths today, and we're encouraging you in the afternoon to go there, one of the young persons there has said how they started by themselves.
Yes.
And right now they have employed about 5 more persons, and they're doing very well, which is actually a story about scaling, which is a good one as well.
And that's a true success.
Yeah. Just before we start, I want to see whether the live link, are we gone? Are we on? Oh, thank you so much. I'm told we are already on, so we better be on
Behave
our good faces.
ourselves.
Absolutely.
All right. So I see some of us have joined us just a few minutes, have joined us now, and didn't join us earlier in the morning.
Yes.
I think we can cue the video so that we can watch it just before we get into the panel.
Absolutely. And as the video is coming, we want to welcome all our online participants. Please, karibuni sana. This has been an amazing session. We'll be interacting. If you have any questions, use our hashtag. Feel free. We're getting those responses. And I've also seen some of the questions from the mentee that have been flowing. I'm not sure whether the video is set to go, and then we can have it. Detect him.
Welcome to the day 2 of the National Tvet Conference right here at KICC Nairobi. And just to bring you up to speed, the need to have an education approach that combines both the theoretical classroom instruction with
All right, I understand the tech team has said we can first of all proceed with the conversation as we go. So we have said that up next is another panel discussion, right? Yes, I don't know whether it is possible because we're going to use the same Menti code to display some of the questions we have. I can see at least the video is ready. So would you like us to have the video now? Tech team, if you're ready, just go ahead and play it.
Welcome to the day 2 of the National Tvet Conference right here at KICC Nairobi. And just to bring you up to speed, the need to have an education approach that combines both the theoretical classroom instruction with workplace training took center stage during the day 1 of the conference. And speaking during the official opening ceremony, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, noted that the Duo Tvet program is the way to go.
This conference is an opportunity for us to engage, exchange ideas, and share perspectives on how to enhance the relevance of skills and industry. This is the means through which we will enhance the employability of our young people. This conference, therefore, serves as a platform for us to collectively explore and chart the course for the future of Tvet in Kenya through a strengthened industry engagement. The ultimate goal is to shape the path towards creating opportunities for our youth and to give them a chance to contribute to the growth and development of our nation and our world.
Important to note is that this Duo Tvet program is being supported by the German government as well as the Finnish government. And since 2019, the German Development Corporation, or GIZ, has been implementing this program here in the country.
The dual training model combines classroom learning with practical, on-the-job training. And this can really address what many consider the central challenge of the Kenyan Tvet system, a perceived mismatch between the skills of the workforce and the needs of the employer. And this is why it is so important that the private sector is here with us today. And I do hope that our work can foster close collaboration between our countries and create a genuine, long-lasting partnership at the level of government ministries and agencies, Tvet institutions, and once again, I really underline the importance of the private sector.
Whether we like it or not, we must acknowledge the current challenges faced by the Tvet sector in delivering employable graduates. Unfortunately, at present, the sector struggles to meet the demands of the labor market. This difficulty primarily arises from the lack of practice-oriented training and inadequate industry engagement. We must recognize the critical role of industry Tvet linkages in bridging the gap between education and employment. The labor market demands a skilled workforce that can adapt to emerging technologies and industry needs. By establishing strong connections with industries, we can create training programs that cater to the evolving needs of employers.
So, what should you expect today? Now we have high-level panel discussions, and you are looking at Tvet in action and how to adapt to a changing landscape. Remember, they say that when the music changes, so does the dance. So stand by for that. And in the afternoon, we'll have live demonstrations at the exhibition area, so don't miss out.
Thank you so much, Tech Team. Asante sana. One more time, just to remind you, in the afternoon, we really want to go and interact with the exhibitors there. So create time, get to understand what they're doing. Nyawera, I think we are set now, so we can call up. Yeah.
So at this point in time, I would like to invite Lina Ayako, the Deputy Director of Vocational and Technical Education, to come up, who's our moderator. Let's appreciate her as she comes up. Guy, we've had tea. Let's appreciate her as she comes up. There we go. And
Absolutely.
she will take over from here and introduce the panelists as well.
Sure.
Karibu sana, Lina.
Karibu sana.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Why aren't we lively? We've just had a cup of tea. An African tea with a blend of masala, that's what I've had. So let us show some love to our neighbors. Just greet your neighbor, say hi. Hi. This is our business. Tvet is our business. So this afternoon we want to shift gear to celebrating success stories. Most times, we are always writing books of lamentation. These are the challenges, these are the challenges, these are the challenges. But amidst the challenges, we have a number of innovations, opportunities, results that we get from our institutions. And therefore, I want to say that it's never all about doom and gloom. We have a lot of things to celebrate. And this afternoon, we are going to be joined by a panel of distinguished men and women who, in their own right, have been steering their organizations and involving industry in training. And therefore, allow me to, first of all, introduce one young man who has a passion for skills development, Geoffrey Ochola from ILO. Geoffrey is the project coordinator for the Prospect program under ILO. Let's clap for Geoffrey. I will also want to invite Dr. Rose Komu. Rose Komu is a seasoned officer from NITA, National Industrial Training Authority. We are all aware this authority has been spearheading industry training, and she's the lady in charge. Let's clap for Dr. Rose Como. Welcome, madam. Take a seat. The next distinguished lady is a lady who is in charge of training also under the AHK Chamber of Commerce, that which we know that we have been benchmarking on that a lot based on the foundation that has been laid down by this distinguished lady. Madam Daya, let's clap for her. And then finally, this one is not a stranger to any of us, the one and only Gideon Murenga. Let's clap for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I had said, we have a lot of success stories to celebrate in Tvet, and therefore, this is what this panel is all about. So as we take our seats, we want to engage on the areas that they will share with us, and finally, we shall also take questions from the audience. So I would want to begin by, I just begin in the order that they are seated. Geoffrey, from your own perspective, how would you tell this audience on the initiative that ILO has done, especially in trying to create decent workplaces, in view of the theme of this workshop, industry participation in skills development? I'll give you enough time to amplify that. Please go.
Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Lina, for that question. I think for those who know the ILO, you understand that the greatest role for the ILO in any country that we intervene is on decent work and social justice. I just heard one of the, MCs here speak about a youth who was speaking to the fact that as we train them, then we need to put money in their pocket, and that money needs to be decent, because decent work starts from wages. It starts from meaningful, workplaces and opportunities, job opportunities, then have all, social, inclusion aspects. At the same time, looking at, the work environment that people are working in. So when you look at the ILO, and when you look at issues of decent work, that communicates a lot to the demand side, because decent work and any work opportunity comes from the employers. And our work with the employers is clear-cut. What we do as the ILO when it comes to industry engagement is from the perspective of building capacity of enterprises. Because one of the things that we need to note when you talk about successes that we've had as the Tvet ecosystem is how do we upgrade these enterprises within counties, the frontier counties, talk of Turkana, where we have the small and the micro enterprises, and engagement with between Tvet and industry should be linking Tvets to workplaces. Now, how do you support workplaces? You have different modalities. Building capacities of masterclass persons within those places, those workplaces, to be able to, support workplace learning. I will draw this to, one of the programs that we piloted and now rolling out in Turkana and Garissa counties. And every one of you know the challenges that are within Turkana and Garissa counties, marginalized counties, infrastructure problems, access to opportunities is also an issue. So these two counties have, through labor market assessments, we identified that one of the sectors that is growing is oil and gas sector. And as such, you've had Tullow Oils, you've had, creation of the pipeline that's going from Turkana to Garissa. And when we were trying to discuss with the two county governments, one of the things that was mentioned even with the companies within these spaces is that we do not have specialized skills in welding. Try putting up one of these, tall buildings, you need specialized skills, underground welding, and searching for such expertise within the country, you would definitely have problems even getting an expert to do this. So how did we approach that? So we came together with the county government and, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, who were players in terms of industry linkage from the affiliates, to design a curriculum that's going to speak to training the youth at the institution, but at the same time at the workplace. But now this engagement also needed that we build the capacities of Kenya Association of Manufacturers affiliate members to be able to understand how to do work-based learning. And that's where I think my colleague will come in, because we partnered with the German Chamber of Commerce. I'm not gonna speak to that because she'll come in and echo that, because it was a seamless kind of training where they are also certified at the workplace. So after this, then you have a little bit of industry and institutional engagement, where industry and institution need to be able to have sessions where they learn from each other. Remember, it's not industry's core competency to train, but it is institutions' core competency to train. It is also not institutions' core competencies to provide the necessary, like on-the-job skills, because most of the times industry would come back to training or Tvet practitioners and mention that, the people you've trained and now we've employed, we've had to retrain them to fit the job profiles that we have. So this training happened seamlessly, and one of the successes we had is some of the, like out of the 70, about 25 of the youth were absorbed at the workplaces with the different industries. Some of them opened enterprises, and so for those who opened enterprises, we are looking at how many new enterprises were established to also employ other youth within their workplaces. So we come from that specific aspect of it. But there was also a bigger component for the micro and small enterprises, where we were training them on labor standards, because they need to understand the value of labor standards. You talk of the informal economy, and that's where we have, decent work deficits. You want to upgrade those enterprises to reach to a level where they're able to pay a decent wage, where they're able to look at occupational health and safety for their employees as well, where they're able even to contribute to opportunities, offering opportunities to these trainees, but at the same time also contributing to the training. Contributing to the training is not only on financial basis, it is also in kind, because so much wastages also happen at the workplaces when our trainees go there. So this is some of the contribution they bring to Fold, and this is some of the things that we've done just to introduce the aspect of decency in linking industry and training institutions as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geoffrey. The key message from that conversation is that we must develop linkages and collaborations. And therefore, as we do that, we get the niches of every partner so that you leverage on their strength. And therefore, I want to bring in Dr. Komu. You have been very strong on establishing committees for training, where you are harnessing the strength of partners for training. Please take it away.
It's on. I'm sorry for that, it's on now. Yes, as you've heard, my name is Dr. Rose Komu. I work for NITA, specifically in the assessment and certification section. Before that, I was working in the sector's training committees. I was the coordinator, and I think that is why I'm very passionate about this whole question of enhancing industry linkages. For those of us who attended the inauguration ceremony of the recently concluded STC cycle sector training committees, the theme for the sector training committees, for the second cycle of sector training committees, was strengthening industry institutional linkages for effective skills development. Why I'm emphasizing this is because we as NITA, our mandate differs slightly from the mainstream education, whose work is mainly pre-skilling of people who have no skills, the mainstream Tvet. in that if you look at our act, our mandate is to regulate training of persons engaged in industry through various programs. And that means if we are to meet our clients, who are the employers, by training the workers effectively, it means we must work very, very closely with the industry. And what NITA has done since 1970s, we always say that our training is employer-driven. So since 1970s, what we did was to actually establish what we call sector training committees. If you look at section 4J of the Industrial Training Act, it is very clear of the work of those training committees, and the major one is to actually determine training in the specified sectors. So we have about 9 sector training committees that are comprised. The membership is normally the employers, just like our board, the workers' organizations. Then we'll have the government, we'll have the private sector, we'll have the government, MDS, we'll have professional bodies, and any other person who is relevant in skills development. So that whenever we are thinking of training, be it starting from the program that we are going to offer, we identify that program with the industry. So that's why we always say our training is demand rather than supply driven. Then after using our sector training committees to negotiate on what we are going to train, through the same sectors, we managed to get very competent experts from the industry, through who now tell us, this is the program that we think is a priority as far as the industry is concerned. What are we going to put into that program? Okay? So, through sector training committees, we ensure that we have a very employer and a very demand-driven training programs in terms of, first of all, what programs are we going to train? In which mode are we going to offer that training? And also, what is going to be the content of that program? And through that, I can say one of the success stories is actually in terms of curriculum development, in that if you look at the kind of curriculums that NITA develops, they are very employer-driven. I know most of you have taken part in our curriculum development, where we start by developing the national occupational standards to basically say what is said that the industry wants. So we start from the industry. Then after the industry has said what it wants, and I've said this process is driven by the sector training committees, which is the area I've been told to talk about, we also agree what we are going to put in that program. Number 2, sometimes you realize we as government, we don't have enough money. So by that strong linkages with the industry, we even get funding to develop those programs. Right now, if you work in NITA, the first thing that you see is a very beautiful building there that is funded by GIZ, one of the projects of the GIZ for solar. They funded the development of that program. They also refurbished the building. They equipped that building, and they're also coordinating the training to ensure that the skills that we are offering in solar are the very, very relevant skills. We are also working with them to develop another program of a similar nature, which is in biogas. So one of the success stories as far as our linkages or having strong linkages with industry is concerned is in all those areas that I've talked about. We prioritize the program, we prioritize what is going to be in that program, the issue of funding, provision of facilities. You can never go wrong when you have a strong linkage with the industry. And I think that is sometimes the missing line in education, where although this is now changing, and I think that's why we are having this conversation, Lina, so that we move from where the institutions decided what is good for the industry, but without having a conversation with the industry on what the industry actually wants. So that is it about sector training committees. I know now from the little that NITA did, there's already an initiative to form more national sector skills councils, which Geoffrey has played a very huge role, and I think he will be talking about that. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you, Daktari. It all boils down to linkages and the power that you can unlock through that support. She has enumerated the initiatives that are being supported through collaborations, and also the curriculum that is being developed as an answer to relevance of training. Gideon, I want you to amplify on how hard has it been to navigate this space in terms of the dual training. You have been the one that has helped us or holding the ministry as we navigate this. How have you navigated the terrain of curriculum, different players, different assessment bodies? How has it been?
All right, thank you, Lina. So I will give some little bit of background to dual. I think in terms of its definition, so many presentations since this conference began have spoken about, or they have touched on what dual Tvet is. But I will go specific, giving specific cases on where the journey began. The program began in 2019 through a pilot phase between 2019 and 2020 with 3 institutions, Nairobi, Kist, and Thika TTA, but later expanded to 4 institutions in Western Kenya. That is Kitale National Polytechnic, Kerubo, Riat, and Bombe. So that went up to 2022. And the steps around it, why dual Tvet? Ideally, when the country went through a Tvet reform process, starting around 2013 when the Tvet Act was enacted, various other sessional papers were developed, agencies were established. CBET became one of the key focus areas for transforming the Tvet sector. And one of the recommendations to make CBET be able to achieve its aspiration was there was a recommendation that Tvet institutions should be able to work with industries to address issues of relevance. We were in a period where a lot of time the industries were complaining that the graduates that come out of the Tvet system do not have the skills that the industry needs. So they have to invest again in retraining, and that became also very costly. And CBET, therefore, was to address that gap. How can Tvet institutions work with the industries to address issues of relevance, curriculum change, and those kind of things? And one of the approaches to address that was through dual Tvet. So dual, from the name dual, 2 places of learning came into play. Therefore, it means bringing the industries on one side so that we are all speaking the same language in terms of curriculum development and all aspects of training implementation. So for the 3 institutions, the process started with, first of all, mobilizing the industries. We had about 15 industries that expressed interest at the onset, very early enough. Within the process, then the industries came in to support in curriculum development. We had some new curricula completely developed, like for KIST, industrial mechatronics. They didn't even have a workshop in industrial mechatronics. There was a mechatronics course, general, I think mechatronics technician course that was in existence, but there was no course on industrial mechatronics. Now, the industry is also supported in reviewing the curricula for the 2 other institutions, which were basically in the automotive sector. So there was a lot of content that was obsolete, had been, it's something that, it was not being talked about in the industry, and the institutions were still training. And the industry said, remove this, incorporate this. Let us have this. And that really supported the issue around having a curriculum that is in demand and was required for the labor market. The next step, therefore, once the curriculum was in place, all the accreditation processes got into place, it was getting students on board. Now, in dual Tvet, students are selected, they are screened It's not any student who gets to the program. They have to be screened by their respective companies. And the process starts by first, you have a pool of companies. The students express interest in which companies they would like to be mentored with. So once they have expressed their interest, then they will, this analysis will be done by the companies. Then once they have been done, they will be invited for interviews. They are screened. And why? Because we have had a challenge a long time where students take a course because the parents said so, or because they feel this is the course they want to do, without proper guidance. So along their training journey, they discover that they are not cut out for this course. So they end up dropping out of the course. So the selection process ensured that the right student was admitted to the right course. So issues to do with some of the industries were conducting aptitude tests. If you want to do an automotive course, they want to find out what have you been doing when you were young, you know, what are some of the areas that you're passionate about. So that helped a lot to make sure that the students who went to industrial mechatronics were actually passionate towards that field. Those who went to automotive were actually passionate towards that field. And to confirm that that actually worked, until the program ended, there was no single dropout from any student. All those that started, they completed, which shows the importance of why the screening process is crucial in the dual training. So there were a total of 49 students in the 3 institutions in that pilot phase. The other special aspect that comes in with dual Tvet, which was happened to 3 institutions, is that same curricula that is approved is actually split into 2 training plans. So there is a training plan that is implemented or stipulates the competencies that needs to be transferred in the industry. So there's an industry-based training plan, and you have a school-based training plan. So the school-based training plan will stipulate what kind of competencies needs to be transferred in the Tvet school. Remember, these training plans are developed jointly by the industry. So already you can see the industry is already on board. They have supported in selection of students. They have supported in curriculum development. They are now supporting in developing and defining which content needs to be implemented where. Now, these 2 contents, whether it is in the industry or in the Tvet school, they have to complement each other. And that was a very important component. So if they are learning a theoretical aspect within the school, then they go into application of that concept when they go to the industry. So already I've mentioned 3 stages where the industry took part in. On the 4th aspect, when it comes now to the implementation of the training. So remember, the industry is offering the second learning place. For them. A rotation model is developed where students move between the Tvet school and the industry in blocks. And one of the approaches is what we refer to as the block release model. So they change in blocks, and the blocks can be defined to be in terms of terms. So term 1, they start in school, they're introduced to the various theoretical aspects of a certain concept of the training. They go to the industry, then they come back to school, then to the industry, until they complete their course, depending on the duration of their training. So already that's the 4th stage where the industry is coming in. There's an in-company mentor, and one of the things that also the project supported was to train them. They were technical people that sometimes were not very knowledgeable on transferring skills. And that is where AHK came in to support in training the in-company mentors on the pedagogical and didactical aspects of training. Yes, I'm an expert, but how do I transfer content? How do I transfer my skills to somebody else? So that came into support a lot. So these in-company mentors were all prepared and trained, and they were actually supporting students. There's something we call a Nurling passport. I think HK will speak more about that, which supported really a lot of the students when they're in the industry. Remember, our current model, or the conventional model, is always attachment. But the attachment model is, as the name states, you're just attached. So nobody cares what really you get out of being attached. You could be serving tea, you could be doing any other kind of work. At the end of the day, the only thing you need is a good report from the supervisor for you to take back to your college to say that I am ready to graduate. Now, dual Tvet shifts away from that. It is very specific. There are very clear competencies that this student learns while they're in the company, and they track it very clearly. So you can be able to see they have been able to learn ABCD, they have not been able to learn this. obviously a challenge would come at that point that a student in company A and company B and company C will learn different things by virtue of the companies specializing in different areas. But we'll be able to discuss more how such kind of challenges are addressed. Therefore, already I've mentioned 4 areas in the pilot phase where the industries came in. And of course, on the final stage, students completing, having spent a lot of time on the industry, we now have a situation where some of them have already been given jobs. Actually, an institution like KIST, I think 90% have already been given jobs. They have not done their final exam. That's another problem, where the industry says, but they have trained with us. We know what they can do. They don't need to go back. In fact, it's a problem to get them back to do the exams. So it already tells you that the exposure that the students had on the industry really helped a lot. They understand the culture of the industry. They understand, because there are things you cannot learn in class. However, how much practical you can expose to the students. For example, dealing with a client. They have to be in a real industry setting to know how do I deal with a client. So there are cultures that they learn automatically when they get exposed to this industry space. And I think this is the advantage that gave these 230 of them have already been given jobs. So it's just an issue of what happens next. So for a company, for an industry, why they liked the program and why most of them even got back to recruit more students, because for them it's plug and play. They employ you in the morning, they give you a contract in the morning. At 10, you're already working. So you don't have to spend or retraining, because this student has already trained with them, so they are part of their process. So maybe I'll just give that as a brief, perhaps as we have more discussions, we can be able to bring other more insights on the success stories.
Definitely that is a success story. It is working. It can work, but you need to have everybody on board, and that's how I'll bring now Maril on board. Just tell us how HK has been a very, very valuable partner in this journey.
Yes, thank you. Actually, you've seen from some of the talks already that we are actually interlinking with a lot of the existing programs. As a background, you see I'm a Muzungu, so I come from Germany, and Germany is quite famous for this dual educational training. So it's also a good reason why GIZ, the German embassy, and the Finnish neighbors, they are all involved. Because we have a good long tradition of this dual training, which Gideon explained very much, so I don't dive much into it. I just add some more aspects and maybe a little bit of an influx of what we, as a small German chamber here in Kenya, started doing on a very small scale, and then we're very happy that we could plug in with the larger one project from GIZ and KfW. So as explained, the concept in the dual is that you don't have, and I always like to emphasize that you don't have attachments. You have apprentices or interns, which is a different word, but the important thing is that these young people from the beginning are employed by the training company, which creates a very different linkage. They are part of the company, they learn the culture of the company, they learn the skills in the company. They don't come for 3 weeks, sweep the floor, get a certificate, and go back to school. That is one important thing. We as HK started with one program in 2019-18 in the hospitality sector with one brave private college here in Kenya, Kibondeni. I don't know whether somebody from Kibondeni is here. They actually took over German-oriented first curriculum for the Tvet, and at the same time the students worked in hotels, in restaurants, and in canteens. That was a 2.5 year program, and when I say we started in 2019, you know what happened in the middle of that training. Practically the hospitality sector closed. Nevertheless, the hotels in their background of the school, so we had the first cohort pay them. Relatively small village, but here, according to the laws, they are paid the minimum wage, at least. Some of the companies pay even more. So that is, instead of training somebody who comes from university or Tvet schools for another year, half year, you are friendly 3 weeks, I don't think that always is enough. You invest, you pay them a salary, but you don't get anything out. In this process, you build your future workforce. And the statistics that Gideon was hinting to, I can only underline. More than 60, 70% already have a job before they have the exam, and a sustainable job, or their own company started. That's also, Juakali can be also a very good start in the dual system, and I think we're also working with some partners now in extending also the idea into the Juakali sector, and there's a joint project with the Juakali associations. So this is actually what Geoffrey said, capacity building in the industry through capacity, informing them that it's worth to pass on the skills and employ, capacity building, of course, in the youth, capacity building also in the education system. And I would like to leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Marian. Thank you. That is a perspective from a partner. And I know that the biggest hurdle for us as Kenyans is how do we bring industry on board? Because there is the issue of trying to incentivize them to support the training. But we hear on the other side of the globe, the industry pays the apprentice. But I know that there is something that has been happening. Just as we prepare to take questions from the audience, I would want Geoffrey to just say something about the social dialogue that we are engaging in as a way of whipping industry to participate.
Thank you so much, Lina. And I'm going to speak to a model everybody understands when we talk about the public-private partnership programs. How do we whip industry to come to fold and provide even job opportunities for our youth, or even provide the work placement itself to begin with? And this model, I look at it actually as the ILO look at it under 3 levels. So there's, infrastructure partnership, there's, training partnership, and there's the financing. So as the ILO, we have a program that's called Public-Private Development Partnership. It's called Inclusive Growth for Decent Work in the Rift Valley. So we have 3 counties, Nakuru, Kajiado, and Nakuru, Kajiado, and I think a county in not Marsabit. I'll remember about it and then let you know, just past me. So what we do is we bring together different counties, bring together, kind of employers, and also the government itself. So this program was structured in a way, once we realized that then working with the Kenya Generating Company, that it needed some skilled person in the electrical sector. So they came to the ILO, and we had a discussion about it, and jointly fundraised to have a fund that could be able to develop skills within that specific partnership. So what happened was that then with the county government, especially for Nakuru, we approached them. We spoke to the governor and mentioned, KenGen is looking for electricians, and you have youth here who could be able to participate in a program that then they would be skilled, and KenGen will offer work placements for these youth. So the most interesting part is that the donor didn't have to, give the 100% donation for the program. So we agreed on a 60-40 sharing kind of, financing for the program. So where the donor provides 60% to the program, and the county government and the industry, who is KenGen, they contribute the 40% of the resources to the program. Now, how does the model work? Now, the county government contributing to this is assure that, as the county government, we are pushing forward the agenda to skill our youth to enter into the workplaces. The KenGen as a company in itself, and she's mentioned the value proposition. What is the value proposition? The workforce that we are trying to build to be able to work for us in future. Because we already have a need, we already have a gap. And this gap, how do we come and fix the gap to have more people, being qualified to, take up jobs? And Gideon put it well, for companies, it's plug and play. So I need to hire somebody and he's working the next day. I don't need to train. So I think that was the value proposition for KenGen. And the good thing about this, the transition rates were very amazing. 8 up to now, because we've had the first phase, which started in 2018. It just ended in 2022, and the donor has provided more funds. Now we are having a next session, a next phase for 4 years. And the interesting part is now the county government is trying to merge. They are providing 53% of the funds with the companies, but then the donor has to provide and merge the 47%. So the transition rates were so good to the fact that KenGen employed about 75% of anybody who went through the program. Then the ILO thought, because we are champions of market systems development. And market systems development, when you look at the donut for market systems development, you see the function of training, which is a supportive function. It is always there. Skills development as a supportive function to develop any value chain. And just take a simple example of a value chain. For example, we want to develop a value chain in, say, what the government is doing right now on leather work. So what is the first entry point? If you have to create jobs, who are you creating jobs for? You have to have a pool of people who are going to work in that space. So when we think about value chain support, when you think about training with the lens that then we are going to support these people to enter into enterprises, that is now thinking, having a forward thinking towards, economic empowerment for the youth and the populations within our country. And then the other function was, for enterprises that are growing within this program, we had to offer some entrepreneurship support, because that is key. Gideon spoke about not everybody would choose an occupation. Everybody needs some form of career guidance to choose, to understand where do I need to lie. The same thing happens. When everybody is trained, not everybody would go to wage. There are people who go to self. But how do we support the guys who go to self? Because self-employment means any one enterprise you create. It therefore means that is a job created. Because if this enterprise grows, then it means it's going to take up youth within our communities, and therefore, start talking about, reductions in the percentages of unemployed youth within the community. So the public-private partnerships at that level looked at two things: financing, training, where the workplaces were involved, the provision of work placements, as well as employment opportunities for the graduates. But most importantly is infrastructure. Here is where we share the infrastructure with industry. Here is where we invite even industry within our institution to set up, productivity centers. And not just to speak about that. How many think, like by show of hands, how many think a vocational training center in Turkana can deliver a road? A vocational training center, can it deliver a road in Turkana? Good, because we don't think about vocational training centers as income-generating institutions. Remember, in such locations, you need to be more innovative. We have very few enterprises to offer work-based learning. So how do you do it? You reverse engineer the vocational training center into a productivity institution where it has enterprises to even attach the youth themselves. A very good example is what we are doing with the Lodwar Vocational Training Center. Right now, a need for the market. It's a marketplace for fresh produce. It was constructed. It had poor drainage. It didn't have, it was muddy. So we decided to develop this program on cobblestone. And then when we approached the county government and we told them we need a contractor, they said, yes, we have a list of contractors. But we said, no, 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 no. We have an institution that is training people in masonry. How do we tap into that? And the county government was like, you guys are overambitious. How would these guys do this? How would they even rethink about designing a program and even delivering it? But as I speak right now, they have renovated the abolition blocks. They have done the drainage, and they are installing cobblestone. So meaning, at the end of the day, these youth who are doing on the job on cobblestone paving, on the job on the chiseling part of cobblestone, those are skills that they would use it in the next project. Those are skills they would take up in the next project that the government wants. If the government wants to provide, cobblestone paving for, the whole Turkana County, then they will have a skill, a pool of youth that they can be able to tap in. If private sector wants to do that, they have a pool as well. So I'm just trying to highlight how, the partnership would work, and how the partnership is very useful for each key player to contribute both at financing, both on infrastructure, but at the same time at the training aspect, which is more critical in the design of any program. Thank you.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Geoffrey he's a skills champion. He can talk the whole day if I give him the opportunity. So I want to get questions from the audience if there are any. I don't know whether there's a mic somewhere. So that we begin to... the way they come, we take first three. I didn't know we don't have time. It's almost 1.
Good afternoon, panelists and everyone. My names are Abdullah Omar, Tvet Technical Principal, Wajir County. So I have, first of all, before I ask the question, a small comment to make about what I have seen some 3 months ago in July. So I went to benchmark with some counties to see how Ujuzi Mayatani, a program called Ujuzi Mayatani, works in wherever an organization called NRT has implemented in Meru, Isiolo, and Samburu. And what I have seen there has really inspired me. And I have seen a lot of good work being done by organizations, especially NGOs, government institutions, and all the good people who would like to empower our people through skilling. I have visited those youth who have been given the skills in their enterprises, small enterprises, such as saloon making, saloon business, such as motorbike repairs. I've seen tailors. One of the stories I have seen there, I've seen a lady who said, I used to be a goat herder in the villages. But she told me, when I was a pastoralist, I used to use my stick to measure how much the mat should be at our home. So she told me, we never had the opportunity to go to school, but I had the mentality to learn something. So then I heard that there is this organization which was, training people on short course. Then I went there. And then when I went there, people were asking me, why will you go there? You have not even gone to school. Why will you go and learn? And then when she asked those people, she was told, you will be taught how to write and read, and you will be trained for 5 months or 6 months, and then you'll be given the tools of trade after that. So she was very happy. Now she's able to feed her children. She's able to educate her kids. She told me I'm paying the school fees for my children. In fact, she told me at my children now going to private school.
Excellent. Now the question.
So that is
Yes.
my comment. Through these success stories, that's my comment. Now my questions.
Yes.
I have, my questions I have for the panels. I don't know who will be directed to it, but my questions are, we are
Make them
talking
two,
about
sir.
engagement
Make two,
with
good.
stakeholders, especially the industry. Now my question, did we invite the industry guys here? Because yesterday when the CEOs was speaking here, I could see only one or two stood up. Now we as suppliers, as Institute of Training, we are training and skilling the people down there.
Okay.
But where is the industry now? Have we invited? If they were invited, why have they not turned up?
Excellent
Thank
question.
you very much.
Thank you, sir. Very good. Well, the industry guys, where are they? Let me come here. Can I see, sir? Please make it brief. He had a story. Yours, I know, is direct.
Mine is also a story,
Ay.
but it is a comment.
Excellent. Okay, go.
A comment which is a challenge. Nitaongea lugha zote, Kiswahili na Kiingereza. Sijui kama mnajua story ya M-Pesa. How M-Pesa came into being. Si mnajua? Kama mjui, let me tell you in brief.
Yes. In 1 minute.
Kijana moja kutoka Siaya na mwingine kutoka Nyeri. I don't want to mention their names.
Yeah.
Walitoka kwa village polytechnic. Wakafanya mambo yao na ujeuri yao. Then they ended up in one of the universities. Oh, okay, you know it. Alafu si wakafanya vile walifanya.
Ndio.
They came up with the M-Pesa.
Yeah.
Have they been celebrated? The challenge.
Yeah.
Hakuna. Hata hii mambo mnasema masuja. And okay. Now, where are they?
Yeah.
Wako wapi? Hawako hapa. They are not in the country.
Yeah, no.
They were poached. Sasa sisi tutakuwa tunatengeneza vijana na through polytechnics na nini. Alafu wanachukuliwa na Wachina, wanachukuliwa na Japanese, wanachukuliwa na US. These boys are believed to be in US, NASA, doing wonders. The Kenyans. So now, we should be able to celebrate this, our own. Hey, Wangare Maathai came up with whatever she was doing. May her soul rest in peace.
Yes.
Alafu,
Ya mwisho.
sasa hivi angekuwa hai, tungekuwa tunasema nini? Si climate change imekuja. And yeye ndiye alikuwa anasema tusikate miti. Preserve the trees. Preserve whatever. She was not mad.
Very true.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very pertinent questions. Comments there. Pale hivi kuna watu, unajua, nilikuwa nataka kuenda 1, 2, hivi. In case hapa hakuna Nadia.
There's someone this side
Wait,
also.
where is that someone? Which side?
Yeah.
Where?
They speak
There.
lot.
There.
There's a question
Yes,
here
take that one. Where is it? Okay. Yes.
Well, good afternoon.
Yes.
Well, my name is Jackson Kerabai from Ekeboyetai, TTI, which is now Nyamira National Polytechnic. My concern is with NITA. How will the trainees that we are training in our Tvet institutions register to be members of NITA, and what are the benefits? Thank you.
Excellent. Very, very, very well asked. There you go. I can flow here to this side. This industry represented, there was a question on industry here. Industry is here. Yeah, just 30 seconds ago.
Yes, how are you? My name's Nicholas Kaleve. I've been a trainer in the industry. My specialization is in automotive. I looked around. I have not seen any of my colleagues around from the industry, but some of the answers which have been given, I think they fell short of our expectations from the industry. I've participated in many of the programs touching on your trainers from Tvet. I have two things to say, that your trainers have very little experience. Yet they are supposed to deliver the CBET. I was lucky to participate in training one of the institutions, program sponsored by GIZ through Eastland College of Technology. And I must say that that is where we are supposed to begin, to train your trainers. Secondly, many of them go to training in Kenya School of Tvet. The Kenya School of Tvet, I'm sorry to say, is offering technology of the 80s. And there are trainers who are now supposed to train the Tvet trainers are in the same level. They need training themselves. Thirdly, the Kenya School of Tvet, they lack equipment in many of the areas where high technology is required. They lack the training. So now, Tvet, you are taking your trainers to be trained by people who need to be trained, and to be trained using obsolete equipment for the 80s technology. I think that one you need to look at it.
Okay.
And address it.
Okay.
What the Eastland College of Technology did when they were given the opportunity to train the trainers, they went to the industry and they looked for specialists. Somebody here, I think is that gentleman, I can't remember his name, brought that into perspective,
yes.
that look for specialists. The last one,
yes.
which I want to say, I have so many, I've never got a chance to talk, is now the examinations which have been given by CBET, the national examinations. The moderation is being done by people who needs to be trained. So I happened to look at one of the papers, and it was pathetic.
Okay.
Please.
Yes.
Take this workshop seriously. Engage with the industry. Get moderators from the industry. They are there where they can assist. And don't go happy listening to your echo that it's a ministry talking to the Tvets and here around.
Yes.
We need to get something concrete, and we need to work on this program seriously.
Okay.
One success story I would say is where I was working, the other program where you train people for 3 years, they get a diploma. We used to train them for 2 years. When we employ, we train them for 2 years to get a job so that they can fit in the market. But the dual training, where it is being done, the retraining in the companies is taking a shorter time, which means if it is developed further, I think the people, the trainees will go straight into the job market.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Very pertinent points there. Pertinent points there, and those are not necessary questions. But moderator, did you want to say something on that?
No, we take the first 4, we go first, and then we can
Okay.
come back.
I noticed 2 of them were actually just comments towards that, and I think we only got about 2 questions. I wanted to give you 2 more, then you can jump on let's just interact with the questions themselves. Yes, I have been told I'm not gender sensitive, so please, I need to be very careful because my name is on the line and my check as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Injera Lillian from Mumias West TVC. My question is directed to Gideon. when we enroll our trainees to this dual training, how many certificates will they earn? And secondly, who will be the examining body? Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that straight question. I can take one more this side. Sorry, so someone is burning. You're burning. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
My name is Evans Agai from Kakarao Technical Vocational College.
You're a student?
No.
Oh, just checking.
Yes.
You look young.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I have a concern. Actually, the main purpose of this conference is to ensure that Tvet is shining in all perspective. In connection to that, we are really doing a good job in training our trainees. Then we get to learn that there are some good trainees that we get from the training, but at some level, they fail to get the job they desire. This comes as a result of few industries that we have. Now, within the Tvet, is there any way that we can form a small body or an organization that can work in place to ensure that few individuals who are so smart but they cannot get employment, can we encourage them in one way or the other by supporting their startup companies so that they can employ other people?
Okay. Very good question. Very
then
good.
The last one, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, the last one. There is this serious issue that is affecting TVETs.
Yes.
But maybe we've not taken care of it. We find that good expertise, good industrial experts who are ready to help the TVET institutions, whenever they register whenever they get job within the institution, they can take maybe even 2-3 months because of maybe remuneration and salaries they get from there.
Yeah.
Not that expertise are not there, they are there. You find that a surveyor within a month can get a lot of money, but when they come within the TVET, they are given 10,000, 15,000, with if not PSC employed. Now tell me, if within the field I'm a surveyor, I can get 100K, and then you want me to be in a TVET institution to train people, but at the end of the day, I get 20,000 or 15,000 within a month. Is it practical?
Okay.
Then if you are ready to help the institution, can we find a way of helping these guys so that we tap them, this best brain, we tap them into the institution? Thank you.
Very good questions. I think, moderator, you can share those ones specifically to who is going to answer. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you for those candid conversations. I want to say that the first question on where the industry is, Marel, you'll take that. There is a question on innovations and issues of our experts going abroad. That's a labor export issue. I think, Geoffrey, you can take that. And the issue of the benefits of trainees to trainee with the NEET training, registering with the NITA, you'll take that. And then I will finally let our director who is in the house to wrap it up with the government perspective on the issue of the government in terms of the experience of trainees and the TVET, so that you go away knowing that the training that is happening is in safe hands in TVET, and therefore that will be the government position. I want to invite Maren to go first.
Okay, I want to go on to, yes, we have 10 minutes. Yes, thank you. I want to go, where's the industry? I would not say they are not here, but I'm quite honest. Industry also has a time issue. And if you invite people from industry to a 3-day conference on different topics, they won't show up. But Nita said it, we said it, all our projects, they are working in the background and they are in contact with us. But to be honest, also I'm here for 2 hours because I'm also running a business, other things, so understand that. But it doesn't mean they are not here, they are working with all the projects together. But maybe once in a while we should have a 2-hour short, disciplined session with them. I know we have that on the working level, so they are not here. And some of us are representing them as well, and we take it with you, but they don't listen to 5-hour speeches of every ministry, to be honest. Yeah? Don't quote me on this one. I allow me to make one comment to the gentleman back there about the quality of training at KTTC. Oh, no, it's not called that anymore. Kenya School of Tvet and all that. I think the ministry, and that will come, and we are all aware of it, we have to overcome 40 years of backlog. Yeah, and there's a lot of projects being done. I know there's development of training, of this train-the-trainer trainings also to be given at the School of Tvet. Equipment, of course, and that is for all of it, and that comes a little bit this public-private partnership. To be honest, I'm not from a donor organization, so I can be relatively open, but don't expect everybody to come from others, but cooperate with them and bring the benefit or the value for money also for industries they will bring in. But when I came here several years ago, before the big reform started, I've seen 2 Tvet schools. They had bloody expensive equipment delivered from somewhere, I don't say where, not from Germany, never unpacked, never used, never anybody instructed to use it, and I think that approach has been changed quite a lot, but there's a backlog and we all have to work to it together. But I liked your comment, but yeah, we are on a slow right way towards it. I think, what is next, Nita?
The next speaker, you're free to, okay, Doctor, you can go.
Thank you. I'm happy to see Mr. Kareve here. He is a leading person in the automotive industry. I think I've loved your comments, Mr. Kareve. I know that this is not a question I'm supposed to answer. I'm going to my question, but maybe over to Mr. Kareve. As the last speaker said, I think as much as the Tvet organizations would want to engage the industry, there's also a challenge of time. Like, for example, we tried to involve you. How many times did we try to get you into the curriculum development, our partners? Several times, isn't it? We also wanted you to be one of our assessors, and I think you did not also have time. So I think that's also a challenge that I think we need to talk about. I know we developed some curriculums with you, but I think time for the people in the industry is also a big challenge. Maybe we need a conversation on that so that we make it work. Now, to my question on the benefits of NITA. I don't know which program you're offering. I don't know if it is trade test or the National Skills Certificate. Is it trade test or National Skills Certificate? Yeah, you are being certified under the grade test. Yeah, there are a lot of benefits of that. One, remember, when we talk about the grade test, we are talking about certifying people with skills that are gained informally, almost similar to what we're having in RPL, though there's a slight difference. So one of the benefits which you cannot rule out is the fact that this is somebody who could be having skills out there. These skills, nobody knows that he has those skills apart from himself. But then now NITA comes in and certifies those skills and gives this person a certificate. That in itself is a big recognition in that we formalize those skills and you can benefit from that. I think for me, that is the major one, that we give you that certificate and that certificate benefits you in a lot of ways, especially if you are from the informal sector. But for those ones who are coming through the training line, there are a lot of benefits when you have that certificate. For one, we can register you as a trainer depending on the level that you have taken. We can register you as an assessor remember, most of our assessors are actually drawn from the Tvet institutions for grade test. So they need to be on the lookout. When we advertise next, we'll be advertising soon so that they can apply and become assessors. They can also, for those ones who become consultants, they have a lot of benefits in that they can benefit from the industrial training level through forming their own companies, and they become trainers, so that when the employers train against the industrial training level, they will be able to do the training because now they have the certificates and the competence. And from that training, the employer will pay them, and then we will reimburse the employer the training cost. So there are a lot of benefits of having that certificate. Thank you.
Geoffrey, do we benefit when we export labor, even after they've done innovation? What is your take? The question.
On innovative approaches to
labor export,
labor
the ones who are going in.
Great that, I mean, you know, when you talk about labor migration and export of labor out of the country, there are things that then come in mind. Like, first of all, you need to look at the most important, because the threshold starts from the bilateral labor agreements that the governments have with, countries that are looking for, human labor for their different sectors. So one of the approaches could be skills partnerships. And when I speak about skills partnerships, if we realize that a country like Qatar needs, plumbers, and there are standards within Qatar that are a standard that, plumber needs to, to achieve to be able to be competent enough to be in that labor market, then you can link to institutions that is an excellence in plumbing with the institution in Qatar, so that they are able to share knowledge, so that as we skill, we are skilling for that specific, labor market. There's also a little bit of investing a lot on, anticipation of skills for the future labor market. Because where we stand right now, as Kenya, we should be able to understand in the next 5 years, what are these skills that would be needed to build both our local economy and the economies in East Africa. Because that speaks a lot to having even a Kenyan move from Kenya to Tanzania and get job opportunities within those countries that they want to export their labor. But at the same time, you need to invest in more portable skills. We have a qualification framework, and I see Dr. Kande here. And one thing that a qualification framework needs to do is to make your skills visible and portable in any other country. And I like it that the African continent right now is trying to standardize, qualification framework. So you're going to have this African continental qualification framework where all, we are able to relate. So if I'm level 2 in Kenya, I go to to Zambia, they already understand what competencies I have, and they pick me for a job opportunity. So it speaks about standardization as well of qualifications that we are going to achieve within these countries.
Thank you, Geoffrey.
And that's the role.
Thank you. So exporting labor is not a bad thing per se, because we can get the returns in terms of dividends being brought back home. So the M-Pesa innovation, I know it's a story of lamentation, but on the other side, we have exported an expatriate. Maybe that is how we would also look at it. Gideon, you are supposed to answer a question directed to you on who will do the certification and how many certificates will they get.
Thank you.
Make it 1 minute.
Yes, so certificates, yes, so for the pilot phase, the certificate from the national system, that meets the national examination system, which in this case is Tvet SIDAC, and then the certificate from the industry line. So that's why Maren mentioned about the German Chamber of Commerce assessment, which was done. So they have 2 that represent the industry part, and it's very practical, covers the gaps that Mr. Kaleve mentioned about, the ones for under the German Chamber of Commerce, and therefore there are also lessons to learn to be able to improve our examination system. Obviously, the other certificate is also important from the national system because you're only not training them so that they end up in the industry. There are those who want to progress, and the qualification frameworks has laid a foundation for that. So if they want to progress to higher level of education, then the national one provides that avenue because it stipulates the training hours, the credits minimum required, so that they want to advance on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Finally, I would want the director to weigh in on the questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the questions. I know the session has been very interesting. We have had very good examples of what has been happening, good reports, and I'm so happy about that. And also, I'm also very happy on the reaction that have come on from the ground, which means people are attentive and they are also interested to see what's happening in the Tibet. The journey of Tibet started a long time ago, as we were discussing yesterday. But I want to say that where we are moving the right direction. I want to talk about the issue of the trainers that we have at the Tibet. Initially, our trainers were under the Teacher Service Commission, and that's where they were. And our institutions, when they started, they were under Education Act up to 11, and they were like secondary schools. So that act had not been changed. We did not have a place for the Tibets. It's until 2013 when we came up with the Tibet Act that now we started re-establishing the Tibet sector and changing everything. If you read the Tibet Act, you see that one of the issues there is that to take the trainers from the TSC and to be employed by a Tibet institution. And there were reasons for that, and we are handling it. In 2018, there was now the transfer of the trainers. Why were they being transferred? One was because of the Tibet Act requirement, but the major thing was we wanted to build their capacities, retool them, build their capacities, and ensure what they are up to the task. And from that time onwards, there have been a lot of reforms in terms of retooling of the trainers. We have collaborated with Canada for all the national polytechnics, including the Kenya School of Tibet. And our trainers from the Kenya School of Tibet have been trained in Canada. They have gone to other countries and been trained. And when we saw that they have been well trained, that's why we converted it to be the Kenya School of Tibet. They are well trained in the industry and they have been going out. Now, in terms of the equipment that are in Kenya, I wish we hold this conference in the Kenya School of Tibet. You'll be surprised. Because, remember, the presenter who was here in the morning said some of the students, some of the people come to train there. They get surprised when they see the kind of equipment that are there. What I know that we have equipment there for both production and also for training. And this center is a multi center of excellence. We have pumped there a lot of money in terms of the equipment. It was the first place we saw a smart classroom from the Kenya School of Tibet. They are there, smart classrooms. We started from there. Then we went on to the CNC machines. If you see the robotics, what you are seeing there, I think robotics is not an old technology of 80s, but they are there. And Kenya School of Tibet used to be the #1 when we started robotics 2018, in the year 2008, robotic competitions. And the Kenya School of Tibet, it was called KTTC. It was to be number number one in the robotics, beating all the universities and everyone else. When we saw that it's doing so well like that, we were so confident that if our trainers will be trained there for capacity building, then it will be superb. And by the way, we are not only training for Kenya, it's now a regional center for training for East African region. So there are a lot of changes. Can we go there and see what's going on? Because if you talk from outside, you may not know what's happening. But if you go inside, you will be surprised. So things are moving in the right direction. In fact, when we come to the issues of curriculum development, we have collaborated both in the country and outside the country to ensure that our curriculum is correct. I will not, one thing I want to see is the first products that are coming out for CBET. You will see how they will be different from the rest. It is the best curriculum that we are having for CBET. And our CBET people are well trained. What we are saying now, though they have been trained, we want to train them even more. And I told our principals one time when we were in a conference that a time has come that we should not just be looking for what the industry is doing, but we should be moving ahead of the industry. See things that are coming, the skill that will be required. We shall be taking these trainers to be trained on the future skills. Where we are going, when you come back here, you train and also train the industry. The new things. That's where we are going as a country. That Tibet must now lead and the industry must follow. That's where we are going. Now, kweli, because the Tibet must innovate. When you innovate, you can also produce. That's why I talked yesterday. I didn't want to say so much. I told you yesterday, we have a concept of having factories in schools, production units that are going to produce and compete with the industry outside. Mambo itabadilika. And Tvet is going to make money. If you are a principal here, just know that your institution has a potential of making money, manufacturing. Those equipment that she is saying, some equipment, she saw them lying. I know why they were lying for some time. Because we knew we brought in a technology that was not yet here. And we had to have a retraining so that it can be used. We are looking forward. In fact, even some industries, when they came to our Tibets, they are wondering what kind of machines you people are having here. So we have now retraining our trainers. We started with the Kenya School of Tibet to retrain them. As they are being retrained, they are now training them. But again, we are looking forward. What other new equipment that is required huko mbele? Habari zenu?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think, moderator, we're good to go now?
I think we are good to go. We are well beyond time.
Yes.
And I think it's been fruitful. I just want to thank my panelists for that very, very fruitful engagement. I want to ask you to give them a round of applause.
Very true, very true. In fact, panelists, you could wait for us because we all are just about to leave. So just to take your seat easily so that we can allow you to move. We have some quite straightforward instructions on how we're moving.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're just about to go out for lunch. I would like to give the following instructions. Ministry staff, including state agencies, development partners, and private sector, including our panelists, please let us exit. Let us exit now for lunch. Let's clap for them so that they can exit now for lunch. We can exit, we can exit, we can exit. This is ministry staff, including state agencies, development partners, and private sector. Let's exit, exit.
Absolutely. Remember ILOs and principles. We have our housekeeping. I think like yesterday, we have some house things. We like keeping them in the house. So just be patient with us. Mambo ya nyumbani ni ya nyumbani.